A little girl stood alone on a sidewalk, holding a handwritten "For Sale" sign on her pink bicycle. And when a group of bikers stopped to ask why, she said something that broke every single one of them. Nobody teaches a child to sell her favorite toy. Nobody explains to a 6-year-old how to stand outside with a sign and wait for strangers. But sometimes life pushes families to a place where a little girl becomes the only one left standing between her mother and an empty stomach. And that's exactly where Emma found herself on a Tuesday morning in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. Emma was 6 years old. She had a pink bicycle with white tires, a little basket on the front, and stickers she had put on herself, butterflies and stars. That bicycle was everything to her. She had learned to ride it the summer before, with her mom running alongside her, laughing every time Emma wobbled but never fell. It wasn't just a bike. It was the best memory she had. But that morning, Emma dragged it to the end of the driveway, taped a cardboard sign to the handlebars that said, "For Sale," and stood there waiting. She was wearing her favorite blue dress. She had done her own hair, and she had a plan. Sell the bike, get money, buy food for her mom. Because her mom, Sarah, hadn't eaten in 2 days. Sarah was a single mother. She had worked 2 jobs, a morning shift at a laundry service and evening shifts at a grocery store, until 3 months earlier when she slipped at work and tore a ligament in her knee. Surgery was needed. She couldn't afford it up front. She couldn't work. The bills piled up fast. Rent, electricity, the phone bill. And then the food ran out. She had done everything right. She had applied for emergency assistance. She was waiting on approval. But the system moves slow and hunger doesn't wait. Sarah had told Emma that morning that she wasn't hungry. Moms do that. They smile and say, "I'm fine," when they haven't eaten since Sunday. But Emma had seen her mom skip dinner 2 nights in a row. She had seen her pour the last of the cereal into Emma's bowl and make herself nothing. Emma was 6, not blind, so she made a plan. Now here's where the story takes a turn nobody expected. It was around 9 in the morning when a group of bikers came rolling down the street. 7 of them. Leather vests, tattoos, big motorcycles that you could hear from 3 blocks away. The kind of group that makes people cross to the other side of the street without even thinking about it. Not because they had done anything wrong, just because of how they looked. Society has this habit of judging loud engines and leather jackets before it learns a single name. They were part of a local riding club that met on weekends. That day, they were heading out for a morning ride. Nothing special, just open road and coffee somewhere down the highway. One of them, a man named Dale, spotted Emma first. He slowed down, then stopped. The others pulled over too, engines cutting off one by one. Dale was a big man. Broad shoulders, sleeve tattoos, a beard that had been growing since probably the 90s. He looked at this tiny girl standing next to a pink bicycle with a "For Sale" sign, wearing a blue dress, completely alone. He got off his bike and walked over. "Hey," he said, crouching down to her level. "You selling this?" Emma nodded. "How much?" She said, $20. Dale looked at the bike. It was a good bike, well taken care of. $20 was nothing. He pulled out his wallet and then stopped. "Why are you selling it?" he asked. Emma looked at him for a second. Then she said quietly, "Because Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days and I want to buy her food." Dale didn't say anything for a moment. Then he stood up and turned around to his group. They had all heard it. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. One of the men, a guy named Rick who had 3 daughters of his own, took off his sunglasses and looked away for a second. Dale turned back to Emma. "Can we talk to your mom?" Emma led them inside. What they found was a woman who was embarrassed, exhausted, and had been crying before they knocked. Sarah hadn't known Emma had taken the bike outside. She had been lying down, trying to rest through the hunger. And when she opened the door and saw 7 bikers standing on her porch, her first instinct was fear. But Dale held up his hands and said, "Your daughter was trying to sell her bike to feed you. We're not here to buy anything. We just want to help." Sarah broke down right there at the door. What happened next was one of those things that reminds you that real people are mostly good when given the chance to be. The bikers didn't just hand her money and leave. They stayed. 2 of them drove to the nearest grocery store and came back with 4 bags of food. Real food, not just canned beans. Fresh vegetables, bread, eggs, milk, chicken, fruit. While they were gone, the others sat with Sarah in her living room and listened to her story. One of them had a brother who was a physical therapist and made a call right there on the spot to get Sarah a consultation for her knee. Dale put $500 on the kitchen table. When Sarah refused it, he said, "My mom raised me alone too. Please." She took it. But the story doesn't end there, because this kind of thing has a way of spreading. One of the bikers posted about it on a local Facebook group that evening. No names, just the story. By the next morning, over 200 people in the community had commented. A local church reached out. A restaurant owner offered to deliver free meals for 2 weeks. A lawyer who specialized in workers' compensation contacted Sarah about her injury case, pro bono. Within a week, Sarah had more support than she had seen in 3 months of struggling alone. And Emma's bike? Dale had taken a photo of it that morning. He had it repainted, same pink, same white tires, new butterfly stickers, and brought it back to Emma the following Saturday with a bow on it. Emma cried. Then she got on it and rode it down the driveway without wobbling once. Here's what this story actually tells us, because it's more than just a feel-good moment on the internet. Research done by the University of California found that witnessing an act of kindness, even just hearing about one, raises levels of oxytocin in the brain, the same chemical released when you hug someone you love. It literally changes how you feel physically. Kindness is contagious in the most biological way possible. But more importantly, this story shows something about who actually shows up. It wasn't a charity organization that helped Sarah first. It wasn't a government program or a nonprofit with a nice logo. It was 7 men on motorcycles who looked nothing like what people imagine when they picture helpers. Dale had a criminal record from his 20s. Rick had been through a divorce and was barely keeping it together himself. These were not perfect people. They were just people who stopped. And that's the real thing here. The stopping. Most people saw Emma that morning and kept walking. Neighbors passed by. Cars drove past. People assumed someone else would handle it, or that it wasn't their business, or that it looked a little strange and they didn't want to get involved. That's not cruelty. That's just how most of us are wired. Psychologists call it the bystander effect. The more people around, the less likely any one person is to act, because everyone assumes responsibility belongs to someone else. Dale didn't do that. He stopped. Emma didn't know any of this, of course. She just knew that she loved her mom, that her mom was hungry, and that her bike was the most valuable thing she owned. She made the only trade she could think of. That is not a small thing. That is a 6-year-old choosing someone else's hunger over her own joy. And if a child can do that, the least the rest of us can do is stop. When we see someone standing on a sidewalk asking for help in the only way they know how. Sarah's workers' comp case was eventually settled. Her knee got the treatment it needed. She's back working, doing okay, and Emma still rides that pink bike every single weekend. Some stories end well. This one did. Watch the next video on your screen right now. It's just as powerful as this one.